On this episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, Star Wars news, November 2nd.
Intro music.
Feels no good to be dead.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
Welcome back. It's me, Rob, again. A little hoarse. This past week, I had a little thing called strep throat. Little scratches in my throat there. It hurts. Little scratches in my throat. All right, but anyway, that's not what you're here for. You're here for another week of Bantha Milk Star Wars news. That's right. I have seven different stories for you this week. The first story comes to us from the new show that's coming out in December called Skeleton Crew. This is pretty exciting. The more I see previews for it, and there's a new preview for Skeleton Crew, I might add. You should check it out. It has a very Bowie-esque theme song running in the background. The words are different from a David Bowie song, or it's in a different language. I'm not really sure which, but it's definitely a David Bowie song. So on this latest trailer, go check it out if you didn't see it yet. It's a lot of fun. But because of it, it's getting me more and more excited for the Skeleton Crew, which comes out exactly 1 month and 2 days from now, because I'm recording this on November 2nd. So it's coming out December 4th. But there is a article, upcoming Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew, easy for you to say, Skeleton Crew is bringing back an adorable, deep-cut character from the made-for-TV Ewok movie. If you look over my shoulder, you see this monkey-like looking thing. An all but forgotten Star Wars character is set to make an appearance in Skeleton Crew, the upcoming Goonies-inspired show starring Jude Law. I was most excited about having hand puppets on set. It's the most ancient technology being used with the most cutting-edge technology simultaneously. That combination was absolute magical. There's a character in my episode that's the Teak from Battle for Endor, and it's just a little hand puppet, David Lowery said during a director's roundtable for Skeleton Crew. Teak, a mischievous little member of the Teak species who resides in the forest moon of Endor, made his first appearance in the made-for-TV movie Ewoks, The Battle for Endor. If you didn't see it, it's on Disney Plus right now. It's from the 80s. This is the first attempt that Star Wars had at making TV shows, and the budget was not nearly what the budgets are today. Let's just say that. But some of them were fun, so I definitely would check it out. I think there was 2 of them. He also appears in Walt Disney World theme park ride Star Tours, which features a brief trip through the Endor moon. The made-for-TV movie technically isn't canon to the Star Wars universe, though the movie is now available to stream on Disney+. I was like, is he going to get digitally touched up or replaced? No. In the final episode, it's just a handheld puppet in the middle of this crazy volume set. The cognitive dissonance of seeing those two things together live in front of you is absolutely incredible. Set in the New Republic era and described as a coming-of-age story inspired by the Goonies, Skeleton Crew centers on a group of 10-year-olds trying to find their way home after getting lost in the galaxy, with Jude Law, a Jedi, as their guide. Whatever. All right, so Skeleton Crew, puppet, volume, everything you ever wanted in Star Wars, all in one situation. Star Wars: A New Legacy 2025 issue number 1 will be published January 29th, 2025. A new comic over here, A New Legacy, a decade of Marvel Star Wars comics. Celebrate the 10 years of Marvel Star Wars comics with all new stories by some of the most influential creators of the decade. Thrill as Darth Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin, Darth Maul, Dr. Aphrodite, Valance, Shatham Chan, Rick Duel, Commander Zura, and the Tigers, and more collide during a grand Imperial event thrown by Palpatine, and laugh at perilous game between 000, BT-1, and Krasatan, the giant Wookiee, whatever his name is. and whatever happens to Scar Squadrons. So, new comic book coming out in January 2025. If you're into comics, a new legacy is coming out in January. This was fun. Star Wars auction fetches £177,000. A massive Star Wars auction has fetched more than £177,000. That's in British money, not actual pounds. So this took place over on the other side of the pond there. You know, those guys in England. A massive Star Wars auction has fetched more than £177,000. The 10-hour Star Wars extravaganza, run by Vectis Auctions in Stockton-on-Tees, saw more than 600 items go under the hammer. Memorabilia included figurines and life-size helmets, with one man selling his entire collection to pay for his upcoming wedding. Joanne McDonald from the auction house said, "It was a brilliant day for vintage toy makers." Pre-sale estimates had put Tuesday's collection fetching between £94,000 and £120,000. A rare vinyl Kate Jawa figurine attached the highest bid, selling at $9,180 after fees. More than 1,000 potential buyers took part in the bidding process, with some 10,000 people watching the online sale at any one time, the auction house said. Miss McDonald, Vectis Catalog Department Manager, called it a brilliant auction day due to the amount of international interest in Star Wars collections. She added, "We knew it would be a busy sale, but we didn't expect it to be that good. It was beyond our expectations." You like my British accent? Vectis said it had 3 different terminals running at the same time. One for UK buyers, one for US buyers, and US and Canada buyers, and a third for the rest of the world. A Meccano Luke Skywalker model was estimated to fetch £2,000, but sold for £7,595. And the other big sellers included a Meccano Boba Fett at £8,330. Miss McDonald added, "There was a mixture of model items and a lot of items." I lost the accent. "There is a mixture of model items, and a lot of items will be going around to international buyers, particularly to Americans. What we saw is really positive sign for the future of Star Wars collectibles and younger collectors." So, if you missed it, you missed out on some good stuff. A lot of items were for sale, and I didn't get one of them. Over 1 year after Ahsoka's finale, Star Wars finally reveals the truth about Baylan Skoll. Now, I really like this character, and I'm very disappointed, or not very disappointed, very sad of the passing of Ray Stevenson. He was a cool character. He was fun. He was very mysterious. You didn't know what he was. You didn't know if he was a good guy, a bad guy, a gray guy. Everybody was guessing that he was a gray Jedi, which falls in between good and bad. He has the skills, but he doesn't agree to the good mentality, but he also doesn't agree to the bad mentality. Well, now Disney has told us what he is. Easily one of the most fascinating parts of Ahsoka was the character of Baylan Skoll, whose mysterious nature eluded audiences in the very best way. Played brilliantly by the late Ray Stevenson, Baylan's antagonistic character instantly stood apart from more than just his orange-colored lightsaber. As a former Jedi general during the Clone Wars, Baylan had a rich Jedi history prior to his work as a mercenary on Morgan Elsbeth's behalf, though his Force alignment was never quite clear, particularly because he openly had an apprentice, with the braid designating her as a Padawan more than anything else. Now, Star Wars has answered to this in EA's kit reveal for Baylan Skoll's character in their mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. The kit reveal tells players which category Baylan's character will fall under, with his main alignment being as a dark side character. In addition to being filtered as a leader and a mercenary, Baylan is also an unaligned Force user, proving that he has truly cut all ties to his own Jedi past. While he may not be a Sith or aggressively dark side aligned, this is clearly where he's heading if Star Wars sorts him as such. What Baylan Skoll's Force alignment means for Star Wars, you ask? I'm glad you asked. Perhaps the biggest conclusion from this skit reveals that Balin is far from being a gray Jedi, as he is very clearly being separated from a Jedi identity. Though Balin may not be fully committed to the dark side, as evidenced by him being categorized as an unaligned Force user, he's still trending in that direction. This has implications not only for Balin's origins and his character, but also for what he's seeking in Ahsoka Season 2. More comic book news. You like that more? That was good there. Star Wars Jango Fett Trial of Lost Hope will be published also on January 29th, 2025. Collect Counting Star Wars, Jango Fett 2024 1 through 4, and material from Star Wars Revelations 2023 number 1. The legendary Jango Fett embarks on a new mission. Jango Fett, father of Boba Fett, has a bounty to find, a mystery to solve, and a treaty at risk. But when the galaxy's greatest bounty hunter targets a stolen artifact at the center of a planet-wide war, the hunter will become the hunted. Courtesy of the notorious Aura Singh. Brace yourself for a heavyweight bounty hunter battle that will shake the galaxy. But who is the mysterious figure behind the heist that's igniting the war? And why will every major bounty hunter out there soon be stalking them both? Forced into becoming unlikely partners, can they solve the mystery of this priceless stolen artifact in time? All in the comic book to come out January 25th. Actually sounds really, really interesting. I might have to find my way to buying comic books. 2 stories to go. Second to the last story for this week. Star Wars Secrets. George Lucas's original plan to swap Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn's names? Yes, this is true. Star Wars is one of the biggest and most popular franchises in entertainment history, and it brought us some of the most iconic characters ever. Jedi and Sith names like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn are widely recognized, even by people who don't follow the series closely. These characters have become symbols of the Jedi Order and everything it stands for. Ian McCaig, a well-known concept artist and designer, especially for his work on the Star Wars prequels, recently shared an interesting detail about how Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were originally created. The artist revealed that George Lucas originally planned for Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon to swap names. In an early concept for The Phantom Menace, the older Jedi we know as Qui-Gon was to be called Obi-Wan, while the younger Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, would have been named Qui-Gon. The idea was that the younger Jedi would then take on his master's name. Dun dun dun. Interesting concept. I'm glad they didn't do that because it definitely would have been way more confusing. But needless to say, it's always fun to get these stories that pop out about George Lucas's ideas 20, 30, 40 years later of some things that he wanted to do and then never did. And our last article for this week. I talked about this a little bit last week, actually, saying that I did not think Solo was as big of a flop as everybody reveals it to be, but now revealed the true cost of Disney's Star Wars spin-off Solo. Few of Disney's Star Wars films had as much going for them as a 2018 spin-off movie Solo. The original story of fan favorite character Han Solo. The movie featured an A-list cast including Emilia Clarke, Newton, Donald Glover, Woody Harrelson, and Paul Bettany. It came just 2 years after Disney's first Star Wars spinoff, Rogue One, grossed $1.1 billion at the box office on a net cost of just $269.6 million, as we recently revealed. Then came a disturbance in the Force. During the production of Solo, a Star Wars story, its director Phil Lord and Christopher Miller were abruptly replaced with Oscar winner Ron Howard, who reportedly carried out extensive reshoots. It failed to have a magic touch. The title role went to Alden Ehrenreich, and he had big boots to fill as Han Solo was almost synonymous with Harrison Ford, who played the character in the original Star Wars movies around 40 years earlier. Solo, a Star Wars story, only grossed $392.9 million, giving it the lowest haul of any Disney 5 Star Wars movies and making it the only one which lost movie in its theatrical run. The reshoots caused costs to skyrocket, setting the scene for the loss. Documents filed by Disney revealed that the final cost was higher than the agreed budget, but the perceived amount that the media giant spent on the movie has never been revealed until now. And if you look at the graphic over my shoulder, you can see that revenue from the studio, $298,736,100. Miscellaneous income, $266,000. Costs, $31 million wages and salaries, $3 million Social Security costs, $329 million production costs, administrative expenses, $870,000, pre-tax losses, $65,529,775. Tax credit, they got a $65,664,826 tax credit, which means the movie's gross profit was $135,051. So the whole movie, by the time it was all done, only made $135,000 instead of the millions that the other ones have created. So that's that. That's the news over there. They're my 7 news facts for this week. So on that, I forgot to play the Star Wars news on the way in, so I'm going to play it on the way out. So for all of us here at Bantha Milk Podcast, we have spoken.